Hearing. We do have an ordinance that I would ask Madam Clerk to please read.
Ordinance, final reading, amended fiscal year 2019 to 2020 budget. Pass our ordinance 19-275 on May 19, 2018.
All right, thank you. The floor was open if there's anybody that would like to speak on behalf. Hopefully you fill out an appearance card. Seeing no one and hearing no one, I will move to close the public hearing. And we will move on to the treasurer's report.
All right, I'll be super brief tonight. In the interest of time, I'm just going to focus on the general fund and the sewer fund. As of August 31st, the general fund is projected to have cash in the bank of $8.97 million. And the fund balance, unassigned fund balance, is also projected to be right around $8.97 million. For the sewer fund, there's currently cash projected as of August 31st. Cash is projected to be $2.61 million. There's a net investment of capital in the sewer fund of $8.81 million, then an unassigned fund balance of $2.62 million. So those are the major funds. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer those. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. All right, we will move on to reports from committees and commissioners and officers. We'll start off with the sheriff's report.
Good evening. How's everyone doing? For the month, you guys reported 32 total crimes in your city, 15 of which were theft from motor vehicles. I think we talk about this pretty much every time I come. 8 of which were left doors unlocked. So it's just a crime of opportunity for these people. They're literally walking around, grabbing door handles. If it's unlocked, they're taking whatever they can get. If it's not, they're moving on to the next. So again, 15 of your 32 total crimes were theft from motor vehicles. You did have 2 thefts from buildings. Same thing, one in an open garage door, somebody walked in and took some lawn equipment. And another one, I think somebody did actually kick a door in. So the rest of them are just domestic type things, narcotics violations. You see 1 or 2 from each of those. And that's pretty much it. So the majority of your issues are coming from the unlocked motor vehicles. I'll tell you, like I told Arlington, when I spoke to them, they're having the same issue. We've got a guy that everybody in our department is referring to as the pro. May or may not be him, I don't know. He's walking around, he's wearing hoodies, he's keeping his face covered. As I was telling the people in Arlington, we had some video footage of him where he was actually on a street corner at 3 a.m. Several people drove by, but nobody called the sheriff's department. So we're having trouble finding out who he is. We call him the pro because he's pretty smart with what he's doing. He gets in there, he's got somebody waiting for him at the end of the subdivisions, and he gets what he can get and he gets out. So I would just ask that you pass on to try to keep the vehicles locked, your doors locked, because if these guys see an opportunity, they're gonna take it. So.
I was somewhere recently that I saw signs at the entrances of neighborhoods that said lock it or lose it. Do you think that that would even be effective to help the residents have a last minute reminder as they come into their neighborhood to lock their vehicles or potentially risk their possessions? Would it even be a deterrent?
Well,
I mean,
I don't think it would be a deterrent for the criminals.
But it might be a reminder to the citizens.
Right. It's not going to hurt, for sure. But it's not going to be a deterrent for a criminal. Because they're literally just walking by, grabbing door handles and going on. And it's the same guy, in the same clothes, covering his face. His hands are covered, so we're not able to get any good prints or anything like that off of him. So literally, he's just in and out. It's just that quick. So
if the residents started locking their vehicles and he starts finding that there are fewer and fewer in every neighborhood because people are being reminded to lock their vehicles, perhaps they would move on to
Get caught, hopefully
Get
that's,
caught.
what, I spoke to Lawrence Huon, who does a lot of our neighborhood watch programs, and I believe he's gonna be talking to some of your people, and I've asked him to pass that on to these neighborhoods, please lock your vehicles, lock your doors, there's not a lot, we can do about it if they're just walking by Bradley North. Now, there were two that the windows actually got broken out of, but the rest of them were just easy targets for these people. And I know I got an email asking about some accidents that happened on Highway 70 in a certain, I'm working on it. Our traffic guys are coming through right now. We've been having some motor classes trying to get some people in place. So it'll probably take me, next month I should have that for you. I've got to get with the highway patrol as well to get that. But I haven't forgotten about you guys. Lieutenant Cox is working on that for us. Any other questions?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys' support. And I think at this time, I'm going to defer to the vice mayor to ask for a relax of the rules for the meeting so that we can recognize the school.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to relax the rules in order to hear items 5 and 4 out of order.
So, did you make the motion? So I second the motion.
All right, motion on the floor and seconded. Any discussion about relaxing the rules to go ahead and take care of these two resolutions right now, at this point in the meeting? Hearing none, I'll just call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries 5-0. Madam Recorder, if you would, let's do those in reverse order, 5 and then 4. So if you would, please read from the regular agenda, resolution number 5.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to sign a proclamation in honor of Lakeland School System being named an exemplary school district for 2019.
All right, I'll bring that to the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I would like to take this opportunity, if I could, to have our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Loso, and our School Board President, Kevin Floyd, and all the other representatives, Michelle Childs, and
Vice Chair Barger.
Ms. Harris,
Ms. Harrison.
where would you like?
Just anywhere. This is probably the best photo opportunity. Just want to say congratulations. Thanks for all the hard work. You guys are doing a stellar job. I know our kids and teachers love that. I'll present this to you officially. So, and if y'all would all come down too, this is everybody. This is not me. This is all of us. So it's kind of heavy. I'll tower everything.
Yeah, I know, right?
Dr. Worrell will certainly be here.
Yeah, and if he wasn't out of town, I heard that he was out of town until tomorrow. So
Very proud of our students and
teachers, absolutely. Absolutely.
If you're on the back row, put your head between somebody's shoulders.
Like choir.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, wait, Richard's waiting.
Get over here.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm ready. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, I shoot several.
It's not like you, Jack.
Oh,
He's the one who said that. All right.
give them another chance. All right, that smell gets in it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, I appreciate you.
Don't fret.
All right, fantastic. I'll just echo my thoughts from last week's work session, and that is, this is the shining beacon for Lakeland to have this honor for our school and students. And I put all of the hard work on the staff, the principals, especially Mr. Adler and Ms. Lockhart, but also the teachers and students, because they're the ones that have earned this honor. I said it last week that this is not something that any politician can claim any credit for. This is specifically for our staff, teachers and students, and parents as well. And on behalf of the city, I am eternally grateful that we can proudly say that we have the best system in the state of Tennessee. So I know the rest of this board feels the same way. So we greatly appreciate you guys, all that you do, and we're ready to keep going forward and staying right where we're at. So thank you so much. All right. And with that, Madam Recorder, if you would please read resolution number 4 on the regular agenda.
Resolution authorizing additional compensation to Dexter Bowler for efforts associated with the audit project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and second on the floor. Any discussion?
I did want to take a moment to just say thank you, Dexter Moeller is in the audience, and thank you for coming. And this is a small token at the past, but thank you very much for your hard work. The city of Lakeland appreciates it.
I would absolutely echo those remarks. Dexter is phenomenal when it comes to helping us figure out our roadmap to development and to success. And I believe that he's the man in the right place at the right time, doing the right job for us. And I can't say thank you enough.
Well, thank you, I'm recording this.
Perfectly fine. I'll play it back.
You know, I look back at some of my emails, and I didn't realize it goes back just about a year. That's how long we've been working on it. And I'm the one standing here. I hope you give merit increases to Shane and Forrest and Emily and Chris. You know, I mean, it really was kind of interesting that the way the IDB sort of stepped out and said, we're gonna make this happen, you know, one way or another. Because we were definitely behind the curve on the property that they were looking at for Lightning. And I think you ought to be proud of the whole team. I'm just kind of totally standing up here. But anyway, that's very kind of you. And I enjoy working with you because I think get things done. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Certainly appreciate you for sure. All right, any further discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll for the vote.
Vice Mayor Rowland,
Yes.
Commissioner Dow,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Cunningham.
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, congratulations. I hope we can do this quite a few more times as we continue to grow. I'd like to take, since we're in kind of a relaxed mode, I'd like to take just an opportunity. I believe the lieutenant would like to introduce someone who's in attendance tonight from the Sheriff's Department.
I'm going to take an opportunity real quick to introduce to you guys my captain, Robert Elliott. He's not had an opportunity to meet you yet, but he's the captain over the patrol division. And he wanted to have an opportunity to speak to you guys and let you know that he's available as well. Captain Robert Elliott.
Captain Elliott, thank you.
Hello, how are you all doing?
Great.
I live at 11252 Ivy Drive, that's in Arlington. I just thought I'd say that because I'm not going to put Arlington, I say that. First of all, I wanted to formally introduce myself. I'm the executive officer for Uniform Patrol, so I handle the day-to-day operation. So if you all have any problems, they actually come to me and I give them out, whatever the case is. I know she spoke about the crime. If you all could really reiterate to your community to lock the doors of their cars, not just in Lakeland, but in Arlington and other areas, even in Memphis. They're not really knocking out the glass, they're just going up and grabbing the doors, and it's an opportunity. People have AR-15s, all type of weapons and stuff in their car. I don't understand. You got a huge house with thousands of dollars, but you leave your weapon, I guess, more fit. But I'm going to pass out a few business cards. If you all need anything, you can call me directly. My cell phone is on here. I work 24 hours a day.
Thank you for passing, Commissioner. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Excuse me.
Perfect way to end it. All right. Plan that. We know. Okay, so we will go ahead and revert back to the reports from committees and move to the city manager's report. If you would please, Shane.
Thank you. Just to kind of keep the momentum going with Dexter. Dexter was one of the first people I met coming into this position, one of the first people that I had the opportunity to kind of go to lunch with. And, you know, every time I'm around Dexter, I just absorb what he tells me, just a wealth of knowledge. And the contacts and networks that he's formed over the course of his career are very impressive, and the stories that he has to go along with those networks and contacts are also very impressive. But obviously very modest, but he really was instrumental in getting that project to the finish line, if you will, on a very unique and kind of out-of-the-box thinking project. So really kudos to Dexter. He's been, again, a great resource for me being new to the community. Wanted to provide a few more updates on USDA. As I mentioned last week, it's a project obviously that is ever changing daily, sometimes hourly, if you will. But I wanted for the group for the public that's here this evening, kind of run through my my notes from last time and then add kind of up-to-date information. So the second notice of publication ran in a commercial appeal on August 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. The 14-day public comment period expired on September 4th. We did receive the finding of no significant impact from USDA about noon on Monday of this week. We turned around and placed that in the commercial appeal. That is a one-day notice that actually ran in today's commercial appeal. I submitted the publisher's affidavit and tear sheet onto USDA today, and while I was sitting here before we started, got confirmation from USDA that everything meets their requirements, and essentially we are good to proceed from that standpoint. So we do. I have not received confirmation officially, but we're trying to set a meeting up with USDA here at City Hall on Friday morning at 9 a.m. where they'll deliver the letter of conditions, and the mayor has confirmed his schedule that he will be available to execute the documents that would be required from USDA, along with the rest of our team, Dr. Horrell, Renaissance Group, obviously Will as our city attorney. Who else am I missing? Deborah, our city reporter. So we'll have the team assembled Friday morning to execute any and all documents to really kind of clear off the due diligence phase of this, which has been a long process, obviously, to get us to where we're at currently. So again, want to just thank all the committee members, all the people that have been played such an integral role in getting us to this point. Dr. Horrell and his group from Renaissance and A2H, and Will and Kyle and city staff that have really poured a lot of time into this. So really a great project to really come together as a team, if you will, to get us to this point. So really excited about essentially handing this over to someone else at the school at this point. So it's going to be exciting. So that's where we're at currently with USDA. Very excited about that. Want to also update you on a few things. We, over the course of the last couple of weeks, have been going through some technology updates here within City Hall. So Logan L. Choch, I knew I was going to do this. Now, Chokachi, yes, it's a tough name to say. Sorry, Logan. Who is the Lakeland School System Technology Support Technician, as well as Josh Thompson, our GIS coordinator, really took this project on. We have a new commercial grade switches and access points. A new phone system was installed. And we also did IH and senior center updates, as well as security cameras and access control systems. So we have much greater speed as far as access goes. So if anyone in the room is looking to get on our Wi-Fi, if you pull it up, it's under guest. actually, which is a change from what we had previously. So the speed is much improved, the technology is much improved, the phone system is a great improvement as well. So really want to thank Logan and Josh. This is a project that they worked on kind of off hours, if you will, to minimize impact to the city and the school. So really, they were cranking up about 4:30 with their vendor and really kind of watched this project over the course of a week or so. So kudos to them. I also wanted to talk about, I got some feedback on our wall of mayors, if you will. This is something that when I first got here, was something that staff mentioned to me that was something that they were working on, and then I've gotten emails through the course of time about emphasizing the importance of this. So up in the attic, I recovered 3 photos from previous mayors. Obviously, it says Mayor Rivera. So that size photos. So that the question becomes to the board, number one, where would you like to put the photos, whether it's in this building or outside the wall? The challenge is going to be, we have 3 photos that size. We're missing, which we haven't been able to locate yet. So in 1989 to 1993, Mayor Howick, we have not located his photo. And then we have Mayor Fletcher from 93 to 97. We have that size picture. Mayor Bonprezi, same thing from 97 to 2001. And then in 2001, we have just the headshots, the 8.5 by 11 of Mayor Carmichael, Mayor Bunker. And then at some point, we'll transition Mayor Cunningham onto the wall as well, obviously, from the foyer, so, and then continue that process. So the challenge is going to be, we're going to have 2 different size pictures, if you will. I don't know if that's a huge concern to the board, but more than anything, I kind of need to get feedback where you think these would be good to hang, what location potentially, and how you want to go forward with them, if you will. If that's something you want to provide feedback now or some point down the road. Okay.
Go with the plan, let us know.
I'm sorry?
Go with the plan, let us know.
Okay.
Can you put it on next month's agenda as a discussion item, and maybe Chris can kind of think about it?
Absolutely. Yes, thank you.
Great idea.
Yeah. My last thing I want to just recognize Kyle. This will be Kyle's last meeting as our finance / human resources director. I certainly appreciate Kyle's efforts. And we worked well. Certainly contributed greatly at our department staff meetings and as a senior staff member with the city, and certainly, again, thank him for his contributions. Certainly wish him well going forward. Certainly be missed. He had just a great personality and meshed well with current staff, and that's one thing that I'm trying to really emphasize as we interview for staff positions, whether it's DPW all the way up through, is I want to have the right fit of employee. Credentials are great, and that's very important as well, but if we have people that want to be on their own islands, if you will, and not be part of a collaborative team, I think that's a huge concern, and Kyle certainly rolled up his sleeves, and if there were things that needed to be done that were outside of his job description, he was certainly willing to support other staff members, and so we certainly appreciate Kyle and the amount of time and effort he put into the position in a kind of a short time, and certainly again wish him well in his next journey, and that's all I have.
I'll have it here in my notes to thank Kyle. Missed it during his treasurer's report, but I wanted to mimic and to echo those compliments. I've only known Kyle for about almost 9 months now, and I have to say he is absolutely a true professional. He is an artist at his craft. He knows what he's doing and talking about, and has impeccable integrity, and I wish him well. I hate to lose him. I know this It's gonna be tough to replace. It's gonna be hard for Shane to find someone that has that character. And I really want to say I appreciate you, Kyle, for all you've done. All right, let's move on to the city engineer's report.
I don't get to give you guys reports very often, but at the last meeting, there was a request to go through the street aid fund. So before I do that, there's a couple of small things I want to mention. One, our stormwater annual report will be put on the website this week. It's something we have to do every year. We need to announce it at a public meeting, and that way we'll also put it, I'll link out on Facebook that it will be on our website. And it just is an annual report for our stormwater program that we're required to provide by the state. So that will be on the website this week. Also, you want to pull it first? You may have seen an article recently in, it's not City Watching, Lakeland Currents. Lakeland Currents regarding contamination of recyclables. I just want to plead with everyone, please, please, please pay attention to what you're putting in your recycle container. It is costing us an exorbitant amount of money. It's, we're not trying to make anyone suffer or anything like that, but we have tried education campaigns. I have an intern that goes out and physically looks in bins almost every day of the week for a few hours and tags containers, and so they won't be picked up until that material is taken out. We're also going to send out this postcard, should go out by the end of this week, and hopefully to simplify, so if people can just put this on the refrigerator so they remember, everything needs to be empty, clean, dry, and only put cardboard, paper, cans, clean cans, plastic. They really are only taking ones and twos. They can take other plastics, they can sort those through their equipment, but ones and twos are really what is marketable right now. And then glass, we do still allow glass. So all these other things, plastic bags and wrappers, they cannot process that at a facility. Even though it says it's recyclable, it does not mean it's recyclable at the facility that we take our product to. So any of these things on the right side, please don't put them in the bins. And so every time we have a contaminated truck, which means that 10% of the load is contaminated, I get charged, I get an email from the facility and they provide pictures. I ask for proof. And I see a lot of bags. I see metals, like the other day I saw an electric fence, like a pet fence. So it's plastic and metal kind of around it. I see laundry baskets and kitty litter containers and logs, yard waste bags. It's just a variety of things, appliances. So just please, the city is not trying to come down on anyone, but it is costing us a lot of money. So our standard tipping, well, it's not really tipping, our standard processing fee just for clean recyclables is $117.30 a ton. Compare that to landfill, which is $27 a ton. When you have a contaminated load, that whole truck, for that 10% of contamination, the whole truck is charged an additional $150 a ton. So it's $263 a ton for that truck. That truck's probably 4 to 5 tons in that truck. So it's costing us about $2,500 to $3,000 per month extra on top of the already high price to recycle. So I don't know what else to do except educate and continue and just plead. We have a lot of people getting angry and calling Rhonda and being really nasty to her on the phone, and it's not, we're not trying to penalize anyone. We don't want to have to raise the rate in this fund, and that's what will wind up happening if we can't control it. So that's my plea on recycling, and now we get into street aid. Does anybody have any questions about recycling?
Real quick, who manages that recyclable?
Republic. They're the only facility in this area. There is another facility in Henderson, Tennessee. Yes, and so you may have heard recently that Cargill's not accepting glass. So Cargillville has been able to figure out a way to transport their product to Henderson. I'm looking into that. but, the issue is the transfer between, the garbage truck to a truck to haul it. Whether or not that will be permitted by the state. Cargill already has a transfer station for their solid waste, so that's what they're using. We don't have any, we don't have a transfer station right now. So I am looking at that, but, that takes some time to get lined up and see if it would have to be permitted or not. There's, I think, some gray area between the difference between recyclables and solid waste. So I would say that recyclables is a clean product, so I don't feel like it should be permitted, but I'll have to get the state to agree with my position on that. So that would be my next challenge, but for now, we just need to stop the bleeding on the contamination, because it's bad. Okay. Into the street aid fund. Okay, go to the next slide. So I started out by just kind of breaking down the street aid fund. What does it look like? So what we pay out of that fund, we have 4 full-time employees. We have the big line item, which is repair and maintenance of roads. So that includes paving, any curb replacement, ramp, ADA ramp replacement, pavement preservation, striping, guardrail, and our contracted asphalt patching. That's really like the big line item in that account. We also have signs, so replacement signs, asphalt patching for the city crews is broken out into an asphalt line item and a gravel line item, traffic signal maintenance, hazard tree maintenance, and then we have 7 trucks and 5 pieces of equipment that we have repair and maintenance in that account. So our revenues are from the state, so it's based on gas tax, inspections, there's an emergency street aid, and the new Improve Act. So last year, our revenue, not including the general fund transfer, which has been happening for the last 5 years, to cover our repair and maintenance of roads. You can see our actual from last year and then our budgeted for this year. So for operating, I wanted to pull out that repair and maintenance of roads line item and just show you kind of what our operating cost is. So there's a little fluctuation there between actual and proposed. Some of the line items, we might predict or budget a certain amount for traffic signal maintenance or hazard tree, but if we may not spend that amount during that year. So this is just a breakdown of that fund. So then I took it, we looked at 6 years. So in 2015 is kind of what we had typically been doing in the past. And you can see in the blue line, that's the total budget in street aid for that year. And then the green line is the roads maintenance budget for street aid. So you can see how in 2016, we started funding more paving projects, 17, 18, 19. We added some pavement preservations and we did some larger paving projects. So I just wanted to show kind of historically how that fund has been operating. So kind of diving into the repair and maintenance line item a little deeper. So we have a pavement assessment that we do about every 3 years. We did one in 2014 and one in 2017. And so the bottom axis is the pavement condition ranking, 1 being poor and 10 being excellent. And the vertical axis is the percent of asphalt pavement by area. So you can see that from between 14 and so I also want to note that 17 includes current paving projects. So it would be the 17 ranking plus any additional paving that we have done. I would have changed those to 10s because they would be excellent at this point. So you can see there's been a significant reduction in definitely 3. 4 and 5 were close to the halfway mark there, but 5 and 6 is sort of our the majority of our pavements sit. We will have a new assessment next year, so just know we're on the cusp of getting updated data. So then I took the 4, 5s, and 6s from the street inventory so that you can see, you can relate to subdivisions that you live in or subdivisions that you got complaints on and how they rank on that pavement assessment. Also put together just a preliminary estimated cost just for a mill and overlay. It doesn't include any patching or curb and gutter replacement, but that just gives you kind of an idea of where we're at. And if you total that, you can kind of see to improve all of those roads or subdivisions, we're at about 9.1 million, 9.2 million. So, also want to note that the streets are in alphabetical order, they are not by rankings. I don't want anyone to feel like this is the ranking of the streets, I just did it primarily by alphabet. So then if you break that down on just monies that would be budgeted for paving, not operations or pavement preservation, striping, none of that is included. So if you just look at paving, to bring these subdivisions or streets into a condition that we would consider fair, that's kind of the breakdown of how many years it would take based on paving budget. So in the last 5 years, I would say we've been within a 15-year cycle, 13 to 15-year cycle, which is good. That's very good. That's probably about where you would want to be. So are there any questions about this? This was kind of I felt like some of the discussion last week was kind of, I think a question had been asked as to what could we do with a certain amount of money, and so I wanted to show kind of how that breaks out.
So that number I quoted to you, $177,000 would be significant for what you're trying to do?
Well, I mean, you can see, yeah, I mean, any amount is gonna help, obviously, but, I mean, you can kind of, I wanted you to see sort of the estimated cost, and like I said, it's just the paving portion of it, but you can get a general idea of where we're at with different, streets or subdivisions.
Will you go back a couple slides to the blue and the, that one, the next one?
Go ahead, that one? Yeah.
So what you're saying is that the difference between 450 and 901 currently is paving projects?
No. So 450 is the amount budgeted for the roads maintenance line item. So it includes, I'll get to a slide where it breaks out what paving is, what pavement preservation, how that number is broken in, because the roads maintenance line item includes multiple types of road maintenance. And I think that may be the next slide that I was getting to. Yeah. So this is our 5-year capital improvement plan. So this will show you for FY20, which is the current year that we're in, how I broke out that $450,000 in that line item. So $320,000 would be paving, $60,000 is the Reclamite contract that I brought before you for the roads that have been paved. I think they were 2 years old, and that will extend their life. $20,000 for striping, and then we have a contract for $50,000 for contracted asphalt patching. I may kind of wait a little bit later in the year when we go to bid the asphalt paving. If we have not used that patching money, then I might would roll that into the paving project. But that's for patches that are larger than what our crew can do based on the size of their hot box. So I have a capital improvement plan for other departments as well. So I always look at a 5-year outlay. And so this is based on our 17 pavement assessment. Some of this with the next pavement assessment could change as far as the paving projects that I've kind of predicted here. But as far as the pavement preservation, I would like to do another round of liquid road, probably in the Grove, if that pavement holds up like it has been, and then continue with some Reclamite in further years. Now, of course, this is just what I would put in the budget, and then whatever you guys approve financially for me to use, then I go back and alter this and fit it into whatever monies are budgeted.
That's the current budget right now.
FY20 is the current budget, yes, yes. Okay. So this is my last slide, just to kind of recap for this year. So our revenues, we're predicting, and our general fund transfer, that shows you that, and then the expenditures would be the operations that's budgeted in the repair and maintenance road. So our total street aid budget for this year is $901,964. That's what's currently approved.
Can you talk a little bit about, last year's actual of 330 on operating versus your expected this year of 450? That's the difference.
Like what was spent and what wasn't?
No, I mean, just kind of from a high level, but if you'll Rebecca, I think it was the second slide that showed last year's actual operating was
Yeah, yeah.
313, and this year we have 450. So
Well,
that's a pretty good jump. If you could talk about that.
I think the biggest piece of it was, so last year, our paving, we did about our paving project, was a little over $1 million. It was like 1.1 something, and so that 100,000 most of it is from that. So the paving project came in under what we had budgeted for it. That's the biggest difference. And I think when I looked at it today, I think it was close to 100,000 less that we paid for the paving. So we did Sterling Place and Plantation Hills. And so it came in a little less than what we had budgeted for it.
But that's the operating piece of it, right? Did you just take
Oh,
the
yeah.
surplus off the operating, or was that the actual operating cost of the budget?
Well, I'd have to go back and see, I'd have to go back and look at line by line, like what actually, I was looking at that difference earlier today, and I was trying to see what big things could have come off of it, but I didn't look line by line to see specifically what was shorter. Our traffic signals have been, I don't know if I can read this in the start, but our signal maintenance has been not as much as we budgeted typically. Let's see, what's under. So, our asphalt, we used about half of the asphalt that we had budgeted. We budgeted 30,000, we used right at 17,000. Gravel was, we budgeted 15, we used about 9. I mean, there's things like that,
So there's some areas in the budget there's some areas in the budget last year that we didn't use everything.
yes, and that happens almost every year. So, we'll budget sometimes like hazard trees and signals and signs and things like that. We'll budget kind of based on the last few years, or if we know of certain things that we want to purchase, but it most likely, usually we have a surplus at the end of the year.
Are there any other cool things in your budget, like we discussed last week, the signs that were basically asking people to slow down? I think there was another cool thing that you brought up. Sounds like you've got some, I don't want to say cutting edge, but some kind of out-of-the-box thinking built into your budget besides, can you talk a little about that?
Yeah, we do have a sign that actually Alejandra, after the meeting last week, brought in. I had given her that task to kind of research some of the radar speed limit signs, and so we found one that we really like. It's just a little less than 4,000. I had budgeted, I think, 3,500. It's just one. That's all I have in the budget for this year, but we do plan on getting that ordered relatively soon. The other thing I think was just the Reclam light. That's it's not new to the field, but it's new to us. We've not used that before. Germantown has used it for a long time, and their public works director just sings its praises. So I decided this year to kind of follow his lead and use it as well. Since we've been doing a lot of paving projects, we want to try to preserve that pavement as long as we can.
Thank you very much.
Mhm. Anybody else have any questions?
Fantastic.
That was very informative, thank you.
Real quick, sorry, different item, sorry. And it's something maybe just for general knowledge, people complain about the striping at the exit, and that's a TDOT kind of item, isn't it?
Well, I thought it was. So TDOT emailed me, because it's actually federal right away.
Okay.
So TDOT emailed me this week, actually, and they had gotten some complaints because I referred complaints to them, and I have also complained to them and not been told that. And one individual told me that he thought that because it was they maintain ramps, and anything on Canada Road, he was under the impression that it would be the city's responsibility. I would argue with that that striping is related to the ramps and getting off the ramp to get onto the road, and that the striping on the asphalt is actually fine, it's just on the concrete. Yeah, So, I emailed him and I said, I've asked, there's a maintenance, agreement that came along with the interchange, and I've asked multiple times for it, and I haven't gotten it. So he was supposed to be getting that for me, and I asked for a list of maintenance responsibilities between TDOT and us, and he says, there is no list, there's just a general statement in the maintenance agreement. So I am going to work with them to define what would be ours and what would be theirs. We did go out and paint, that's something, easy for us to do. We went and got some paint matched, and so we painted the concrete that looks like stone. We did get that painted this week, but the striping is expensive, and that only lasted maybe a year. It didn't stay on very long, so I'm trying to get a clearer definition from TDOT as to what they feel is their maintenance responsibility and what is ours. I think the bridge should be their maintenance responsibility, but I'm currently battling that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Is there a product like a sealant that could go over that paint on the concrete to make it last longer?
I don't think that, the issue is that, I don't know if it's, I think that it's big trucks, like semis that are making a U-turn there and from the inside lane, and so they're rubbing up against, I think it's tires rubbing, or maybe even the side of the trailer rubbing, so I don't know that anything would prevent that. We'll see how long that the paint stays. Maybe it's become common knowledge not to make that inside lane turn.
It's gotten better. I've noticed less destruction on the top because you've got some stuff,
Yeah.
the cap's been knocked off. It's not as bad or not as
Yeah.
frequent. Maybe it's being passed around, don't
Yeah.
turn around there, I don't know.
I mean, we've got, a big bucket of paint, so it doesn't take the guys very long to go out there and paint it, and it looks a lot better, so we'll just try to keep up with that, and then I'll continue the discussion with you about the striping.
Outside of the diamonds that we mow, the grassy ramp areas, that's still TDOT, right?
It is,
Or
however.
would they outsource to?
Yeah, I did ask, our, contractor Herb Systems, I think I asked him to look at that and see if he could spray that. The truck that he sprays the right of way with, is just from a trailer. And so, I think he was gonna try to spray it from the road, so like he would drive up the ramp and then drive back down the ramp.
That'd be great, because you got
Yeah.
some volunteer trees coming in there now. I mean, it's just thicker,
Yeah.
more hardy stuff you can't go over. It's just-
Now, he only can
Bad.
spray, I think his range is like 10 feet. So if it's outside of that, or if it's in the really steep area, in between the interstate and the ramp, there's kind of that really steep, bank there. I don't know that he could reach that, but he was trying to at least get like the gravel along the guardrail.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. All right, we'll move on to commissioners' reports.
I have a Parks and Rec
All right.
report. We met last night, and starting with Sadie Pool, an update for that park. There was no unusual trash this month, which is good. The sheriff's department is seen frequently on the cameras patrolling that area, so we want to thank them for that. A dog park update has been deferred until October. And the meeting prior, the members had made a motion to recommend a budget amendment to bring, to us to fund the additional paved parking lot and lights needed for the dog park. And that will be brought forward next month in the amount of $200,000. And so in the meanwhile, Light, Gas, and Water is being contacted to find out what sort of leased lighting we could get in that area where they would be in charge of the maintenance and see what they could provide us at a lower cost, because then that amount of money is added to the bill each month, so we would pay it out as we go. And we're gonna have to see, typically they like to wait till the project is already completed before they start that, so that would be an additional 6 months on the end of whenever we completed the paving, which might work out in the timing because of the spring and summer then coming back around again and it being lighter longer in the evening, so it might not make a big difference if we did have to wait that extra 6 months amount of time. to get with them. The lights would be in the driveway, the walkway, and in the park, and it would be zero lot line LED lighting, so it should be really nice. That's if we pay for that lighting. The community block development grant update, they met and they are ready to go to the contract phase, and then they'll get RFQs out, bids will have to be advertised, so we're still looking at 6 to 8 months, and that is for the playground that will go at Zady Pool. The athletic complex project update, they met yesterday with TDEC to,
We emailed yesterday.
which would be, they're gonna come and speak with us at our October 10th meeting and our November 14th meeting. They're going to a workshop next week.
Yes. They haven't agreed to come to this meeting yet, they're just asking the next time we
If-
get together,
yes, so
if
that-
they do the contract.
Right, so if they could come and present those things to us, they would if we have reached that point of the process, because we haven't even reached that contract phase yet. Let's see, building update that Shane alluded to earlier, there is a new network and phones here that's also at IH Park Clubhouse. There have been some landscaping updates. There was an attack of bagworms that they're trying to get rid of. Martin and his crew are over there working on water damage, and they have painted the deck, so they are doing some things to help make things look nicer over there. Shakespeare in the Park is an event that is coming up on September the 19th. It's the second year that they will be doing this. It was a big hit before. It's at 6 o'clock on that evening if any of you are interested. The Lamp concert, there's one more concert. And we had scheduled the Bluff City Bandits, but they got a great opportunity to go to Nashville and perform there, and very graciously asked us if they could back out so that they could go take advantage of that opportunity, and we of course said yes. Jerry Patton and his group are going to be the band for that last concert. Windward Slopes Park, the Eagle Scout project, Aaron Lawrence and his friends have completed the 2 shade structures there that are very nice. If you haven't been by to see those, they've got the nice metal roofs. It looks great. There's going to be a fundraiser meeting with Dave DeGutis. They are looking to try to raise money for park lighting and possible expansion there at the tennis complex. We want to wish Wendy Haley well. She has left for another great opportunity and will be able to spend more time with her family. And we want to thank her for all the contributions that she provided to the rec department. Let's see, there are 70 apps for the disc golf grant, and hopefully we will be getting one of those. It will be $10,000. There will be the disc golf course at IH Park. We're looking forward to that, and hopefully we will get that grant. Speaking of park administration, yesterday an offer was put into a person who we hopefully are going to secure to fill that position that Wendy vacated, and we will hope to introduce you all to them next month. The senior center update, attendance for August, there were 432, compared to last year's 375, so it is being frequented much more often. There is going to be a dinner called the Fall Y'all Dinner. It's $10 for tickets on September the 20th, and you're invited to stop by and participate in that. A part-time worker has been hired to help oversee football. They're going to need another person to hire on a part-time basis to cover the 3 gyms when the basketball games start, because there has to be a city employee on site when those things are going on. Which leads me to the memorandum of understanding that we have with the school. Alex and his coaches are being allowed to be the supervisor on site for those practices that will be occurring there, the soccer there. Those fields have been mowed and taken care of, and they're waiting on one of the goals to be welded, and then they're going to be practicing there. We said Tuesday through Friday, but I got your email just recently that there could be a couple of Mondays that they'll be out there and Saturdays. So, we want to thank the school for allowing us to be on site, taking advantage of that land that they're not using right now for our soccer teams to have practices and games on Saturdays. For the smaller ones, just practices. So that came in an email right before I came here today, so I'm not sure. Did I cover everything, Kevin? Minus all of the rec things. I will be forwarding you the email from Kevin to update you on all the rec programs that are going on, starting now and extending through the winter. So, we have busy.
Can I ask you a couple of questions real quick?
Sure.
Just, what was the number for the gravel for the dog park on the road? Maybe you mentioned last time.
Okay, now to gravel the parking lot, it would be approximately $92,000. If we decided to go ahead and pave the parking lot, it would be $150,000. The $200,000 is probably going to be the number that's requested of us next month because they want to add in the lighting
That was
costs.
my question, so the other 50,000 why?
Yes,
Okay.
and hopefully it won't be that expensive, but we felt like $200,000 really pretty much covered everything, and we all agree on that board that we would like to open this dog park with the parking. We feel like we're doing it in service, and people are not gonna wanna go back because they don't have places to park. We don't want to cause problems for the neighbors there. And then, later in the spring, hopefully the playground with that $200,000 grant from the community block development, will be able to take place, but that will be separate from hopefully the opening of the actual dog park. So, if we then get some assistance from Like Gas and Water with doing some leased lighting, that amount will decrease as well. So we're kind of in limbo on that lighting cost at this point. But $150 if we go ahead and pay it.
Okay.
Which that way we don't have to go back and do gravel maintenance and that kind of stuff. If we go ahead and pipe a little bit on the front end, then it should prevent us from having to go back and redo gravel. Anything else?
Fall y'all is September 20th. if I'm
Fall,
not-
y'all, is September
I
20th.
just want to make sure I wrote that down right.
$10 tickets. And we've all been invited to stop by and visit.
I just want to make sure I have it written down the date.
And then, the 19th is the Shakespeare in the park. And people that attended that last year said it was really a nice event. Okay,
Cool.
anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
This is your turn.
Yeah, I got two here. EDC, so we talked about, well, first Dexter Miller came, he did a nice presentation on pending projects, possible projects, kind of just showing it, okay, this is what's in the works. And as you may or may not know, I mean, there's a lot of things that might be in the works and they never come to fruition. There's a lot of things that just come out of nowhere. It's part of how development works, you know. Also, we talked about thinking outside the box of trying to stir up investment, investors to come here, whether offering incentives, trying to think of creative ways of incentivizing development. That's something we'll come back to. People coming. One of the items for the next meeting is actually bring me two things that you think could help. And we have different people, with different walks of life, different professional backgrounds, and we're trying to think about different ways of just thinking outside the box. Are there different things we can do? Because Aldi was one of those examples where that was not your typical deal. It was just one of those things that worked out well, and I think there's other ways we can do the same thing. So that's EDC. NPC, we talked about, we talked about Lakeland Green. Doug Swink was here. Lakeland Green, which is just south of the middle school. It looks like a very high-end quality development. It does a great job of preserving as much nature as possible, making it a walkable community, but also giving a space for people to commune and also connecting it to the school and also potentially other little developments nearby. I think it's just a very promising PV. Also Renaissance approval for their building, which will be very similar, just slightly smaller in size to the current office building they have. So another building they're going to do just right next to it. And design guidelines, we talked about just things we want other buildings to have, whether it's the garbage containment area to match the facade of the rest of the building, or hiding the AC units and things like that. External, only internal entrances for hotels, so no more external for all new hotels, things like that. So we got a good discussion on that as well.
There you go. Fantastic. Just summarize that way. I tried. Hearing no further commissioners' reports, we will move on to public comments. Has anyone filled out a card that wants to speak? Seeing none, we will move on from public comments to sewerage commission business. Having none, we will move on to the consent agenda. Madam Recorder, if you would, this might take you a while, or
There was a question asked to adopt this, there was a question asked to adopt the agenda for tonight. Is there any concern of the two items that were added for discussion items? I feel comfortable with it. I just want to make sure that you guys want this agenda.
You're referring to the last two items that are on the agenda, didn't make it out for the draft agenda. If we're going to take out and amend the agenda, do that after you take up the consent agenda. But yeah, I would recommend moving to amend, add those two items officially.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I could be recognized after the consent agenda, I appreciate it.
you have the floor. Absolutely. Okay, Madam Recorder, if you would please read the consent agenda. It might take a few minutes, but there's a lot on there.
Item number 1, approval of meeting minutes from previous meetings. A, regular meeting minutes, August 8, 2019. Item number 2, resolution approving a contract with Michael's Tree and Loader Service, LLC, for emergency debris removal, cutting costs. Item number 3, resolution approving a contract with Ensmore, LLC for FY20 sanitary sewer improvements. Item number 4, resolution approving the purchase of a grid classifier from BAM 2. Item number 5, resolution approving a contract with Pavement Technology, Inc. for asphalt rejuvenation project.
All right, do I hear a motion to bring the consent agenda to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Any discussion? Everybody comfortable with what's on there? We can keep it all. All right, Madam Recorder, if you would please call the roll for the consent agenda.
Vice Mayor Roman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dow,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Cunningham,
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, fantastic. All right, would you like the?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the regular agenda as presented to us, items 1 through 7.
All right. Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. It's adopted as amended. Madam Recorder, if you would please read regular agenda item ordinance 1.
Ordinance, final reading, amending the fiscal year 2019 through 2020 budget, passed by ordinance 19-275 on May 19, 2019.
All right. Motion to bring this to the floor.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and second. Floor is open for discussion.
Personal privilege, I'd like to ask for a 2-minute recess if you don't mind. Any objection?
Anyone objecting to a 2-minute personal, absolutely.
Playground.
I didn't want to say recess, but recess it is.
Yes, we do, and it's actually refreshed as well as census. Next year, we're no longer to do census per day. They were supposed to implement it this year, but it was creating so many scheduling issues. So many things were all wrong.
If you do, then you know. Yeah, we'll give the recorder and the city attorney a couple of seconds, and then we'll reconvene. All right, having the city recorder and city attorney back, I'll move to go ahead and reconvene. And we will pick up, we're in the discussion phase of ordinance under the regular agenda. Floor is open for discussion.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being recognized. I just wanted to ask the city attorney, this was, obviously, we don't have a letter as of yet. If you could tell me kind of the process of where we are on your comfort level, if you don't mind. I don't want to put you out on a limb, but
Yeah.
just tell me what you know if you don't mind.
Just following up on what Shane said earlier, you can kind of think of the USDA process and the way it's been explained to me numerous times by numerous people at USDA. Three main things: the architecture, the finance, and the environmental. We've known we're good on the architecture and the finance side of things for what, Shane, several weeks. We've just simply been waiting on the environmental. As Shane mentioned, there's the FONSI, the finding of no significant impact, that ran a commercial appeal. And kudos to Shane, he's really been pushing. We've been talking daily about reaching out to commercial appeal, making sure they're publishing it as soon as possible. As we were sitting here at the meeting, got responses from USDA that, again, everything looks good. We knew that everything was fine from an environmental standpoint, but we didn't get any comments. We anticipated being able to check that box, but that box has been checked. And at this point, we're just simply setting up a time for USDA to come to town so that the mayor can sign the documents, and everything will be finalized at that point. He'll sign the documents, and we'll have our obligation letter that we've been waiting on. But again, kudos to Shane. Everybody has been working on this. We've been in communication with them, the trustee's office, all three, the big three: architecture, environmental, financial. We're good on those, and it's at this point just scheduling. It's staying away from having a letter tonight rather than a couple days from now.
I have adjusted my work schedule to be here for that meeting, so I'll commit to doing that, absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. And I will say before there's any other substantive discussion, just a reminder about the procedural order. If it's the will of the board to change, currently what's on the agenda is a resolution at 120. Of course, if there's any tweaks to that, we'll go through the same procedural process that it has in the past. I'm not sure if there is, but just again, just a point of order.
That's actually very good. But we're on the second reading, so we do have the ability to change it and adopt it with a new tax rate on second reading.
That is correct.
It does not delay anything.
That's correct. It's the final reading. You change it from first to second reading. So long as you're not changing the topic, obviously the topic's not changing at all. It is the same ordinance, just simply, or simply perhaps.
The other four.
Yes, sir, I'd like to make the motion to change the ordinance to read $1.24 instead of $1.20.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Sounds good. Kind of compromise that.
I think it's in the comfort zone, it's everything between $1.20, $1.25, that stuff, I think that's the same number.
Yeah. I agree, and I appreciate that. I know the city can use those additional 4 cents of funds, especially with some upcoming things we're gonna have with roads and with some of the other projects that we're talking about. That may be crucial for specifically the security cameras, for sure. I know that is really a hot topic right now. I've gotten a lot of response. People are really excited about that.
Very excited about it.
And to be able to fund that as well as the road and the parking, that I believe that's what we're, sworn to do, is look out for the best interest of the city as a whole, and I really appreciate you bringing that to that level. That actually reduces us by 1 cent from last year's rate, so it is technically a tax reduction, and I think that's to be commended, to be able to work ourselves within a budget like that, so no further discussion. I'll absolutely like Madam Recorder to.
So for clarification, this is the vote on the amendment?
Yes, this is a vote for the amendment on the ordinance. So if you would call the roll.
Vice Mayor Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Dow,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Cunningham.
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, and now we need you to, if you would, call the roll for the ordinance as amended.
Vice Mayor Moore,
Yes.
Commissioner Dow,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Mayor Cunningham.
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, fantastic. We've done that properly, and I think everyone here is to be commended for working together and coming up with the right rate at the right time and doing things for everyone. So appreciate that. Madam Recorder, if you would please move to resolution number 2.
Resolution approving the submittal of a transportation alternative grant application for Campbell Road pedestrian and bike trail improvements, phase 2.
Do you have a motion to bring this to the floor?
So moved.
I'll second that. With the discussion, Ms. Emily, if you would.
I did bring some renderings, as requested. Just one second. Scroll up a little bit so I can see that. So this was one of the original renderings submitted with what was originally one project, and it turned into 2 phases. So the project that we have current grant funds for, get the bottom picture. Yeah, there we go. So the circled areas are improvements on Canada Road. Most of them are crosswalks. So what's out there now is a thermoplastic material that's kind of melted into the pavement, and it's pretty worn and deteriorated. So we're going back with stamped concrete crosswalks. They should be more durable. We are also having to replace all of the ADA ramps to bring them up to current standard. There's I don't know if you all are familiar with that, I think it's an AT&T box close to where number 2 is. So we're putting a concrete pull-off there because they have a tendency to park there on the side of the road, and it's just a mess. So we're going to put a concrete pull-off there. We are not able to do the crosswalk at 64 using federal funds because they would require us to upgrade the whole intersection as far as ramps and crosswalks. So that is something that when we get the unit price in from the contract, I may try to work with the contractor so that we just would pay that with local funds, depending on what the price came in. But, so that's, phase 1 also includes gateway signs at the interchange. I do have some pictures of those on the next picture, but on the still on this one, see the purple line that goes down Monroe? So that's the future trail, that would be what this phase 2 would be. So the trail would start, it's only gonna be on one side of the road, not on both, but it would be on the east side from Monroe in Canada and go down along that vacant property behind the trailer park and then connect into that green shaded area that's the conservation area with the Lake District. And so that is planned to have a boardwalk through it and trails. So then the connection would be full circle from Canada Road around Monroe and then back up through the Lake District. So that would be, that's the phase 2 piece of it. I'm gonna pull up the next one. This is just another illustration of, this is the current project. So you can see the crosswalks, and the location of the signs is kind of small. It's in the diamonds. There, those are the gateway signs. They'll be the same style as what we had at Canada and 64 and Pleasure Trace and 64. It'll be the same style of sign with landscaping around it. But there will be one at the off-ramp on the south side of the interchange, right there by the fireworks stand, and then there will be another one in the diamond of the off-ramp coming from Arlington to Canada Road. That's included in the current phase. Phase 2 that we're wanting to apply for would just be the expansion of the trail down Monroe to connect into the Lake District.
What's the time horizon on these signs now?
The gateway signs? So the design is complete. We applied for or requested funding from the federal highway in June, the first part of June. And they're backlogged right now. And so I was told we would either get it in August or we would get it in October. And so August has passed, so it will probably be October. So that's our construction money. I can't bid it until they obligate those funds. They're there, for them, obligation means that with physically transferring the money from the federal government to our state agency, and then they hold that money. So it basically puts it in our account.
Do the bridges, that's part of this as well?
That's
correct?
part of phase 1, yes.
Yeah, I thought so. That's
Yes,
the-
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
That's the big thing. I was like,
The
push for
connection.
that, that's a big, and of course, the backstory of that is TDOT wouldn't let them go. Wasn't that kind of the thing? TDOT said,
No.
stop there? That's why I was told on time.
Okay, so in 2009, there were ARRA monies, America Recovery Reinvestment Act, 100% grant money, no match, but it was for shovel-ready projects. And we qualified for bike pedestrian funds. And so, but we did not know at that time where the interchange was gonna stop their sidewalk. So the project went through the bridges and then it just stopped there. When TDOT did their design, they didn't go all the way to the bridge, so we're just trying to make up that
Right. Okay.
difference. But yeah, it was just, we wanted that bucket of free money, but we weren't sure where they were gonna stop, so we just stopped there because we knew that would be
Okay.
close.
Perfect. And this is a little different. So the other sign, 64, where are we on that?
Forrest, actually, you wanna make the announcement? They had a pre-construction meeting, was that last week?
Last week.
Yeah, so when they're getting started, I think any day. That's at 64 and Chambers.
Yes.
We have issued notice to proceed. There may be there's a small amount of mounding that has to be done when we went out there and visited the site prior to giving the notice to proceed, and so there may be a small changeover for that. But I was hoping that they would be starting this week, but I would say within the next 2 weeks, we should see some sign.
Awesome. Thank you. Fantastic. All right, Jim, further discussion?
Madam Recorder, if you would, please call the roll on resolution number 2.
Vice Mayor Roman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Quinn,
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
Motion carries unanimously. If you would, Madam Recorder, please read resolution number 3.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Shelby County, Tennessee for ADA improvement to Xavier E. Cool Memorial Park using community development block grant funds.
So moved.
Second. Motion and second. Into the discussion phase. Mr. Ridley, if you would, please update us.
Yeah, nothing has changed. Obviously, the request last week was to bring some pictures forward. These pictures are simply suggestions. There's nothing official with them. I talked to Recreational Concepts. They had somebody come out and just look at the sites, kind of give a recommendation on what would work for the areas. So the one Shade's got hold of currently, the Oak Ridge one, was a possibility for Oak Ridge Park. But to give you an example, that right there, without a surfacing, is about $156,000 for the playground. But it does include inclusive items which we're looking for. Obviously, the merry-go-round is low to the ground, some chairs can get up in there, or any type of walkers or anything. And then the kind of caged-in area, the jumping room, the kids can climb all over. Obviously, you can roll around in there as well, or walk through there if you're not able to do stairs. But again, these are just simply examples. The second one that he's got up there right now has a price tag of about $87,000. And the general rule of thumb for the playgrounds that I've been told is your servicing is about 30% of your cost. So depending on contingencies and any additional pad that may be laid down, we're probably looking at about $125,000 to $150,000 for a playground for the area. And then there's one more. This one, again, has a lot of inclusive items. One of the reasons I went with this company, the kind of circular shaped merry-go-round on the left side, they did a lot of research on how they can make it more beneficial not only for disabled visitors, but also their caregivers. A lot of back lifting in that, if your back is hard, especially with certain products. So they did a lot of research that you're able to kind of turn them on and sit down and slide them into the position. You're not tweaking and torquing your back trying to get them in there so they can enjoy the amenity. And the same with the swings. They're larger chairs that have a brace on there, so you can get in there and be secured in there. But again, these are simply suggestions. These aren't anything we're set on. Nothing has been presented to anybody. It's simply, this is what we can do with this amount of money. So happy to answer any other types of questions or anything you guys might have for it.
I appreciate it. Just validating that we discussed last week, this is an 80-20.
This is 100% no match.
100%.
Yes, yeah, we're getting 200,000 with no match.
Absolutely. It's great.
Man, more of those 100%.
Yeah.
What's this one, what's that one going?
This one is 95,000.
So the second was
The second one,
just curious.
that was the 87. That one really, and again, these were just suggestions, that one really doesn't have a lot of inclusive amenities. But that was just something that they recommended.
All this stuff.
Yeah. And then this last one was, like I said, the last one, was put together for Oak Ridge, but to kind of give you an idea of 150,000, that's what you can get for your money. And that's strictly through this company, going through the bid process. We may find that there's somebody that can do a little bit more for a little bit less. But like I said, I like this company because they do a lot of research in inclusive playgrounds. They've been to a lot of conferences that I've been to, a lot of great presentations. So that's simply why I went with them to get pricing.
And that cost does include the ground cover.
Yeah.
So that's
This is
additional,
strictly-
y'all, and
yeah.
it is very high. We put one in at my elementary school, and it's very pricey. For a very small area, upwards of 50 grand just for the ground covering.
Yeah, and there's options too. Obviously, pour in place is kind of your high end. A lot of people now are going to the turf style that's still ADA friendly and accessible, a little bit cheaper. And obviously, we have different options to explore.
This would remind me of Shelby Farms a little bit, because you could do fines or something. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, when I talked to them,
Splash quickly.
the request was we don't want any, obviously bright colors aren't bad, but we wanted to kind of blend in. We didn't want a big red and yellow playground in the middle of the park that has a lot of trees. So they kind of worked with us on making things that won't necessarily pop out in a bad way, but will still be good for the kids.
Great, cool.
let's do the best of the best. I believe our kids deserve that, and they're covering the cost. Let's give them the best of the best, for sure.
Okay.
Just a quick question. I'm just curious, this is not an issue, but when we do something like this, does it affect the city's multi-hazard insurance, that kind of stuff? Just curious.
As far as I know,
I just wonder, I just wonder.
I think if anything, it helps us. You know, Zany Pools playground is
I'm
very.
all for it, I'm just.
Yeah.
Because our HOA, if someone wanted to do that, and, the first thing that nixed it was our insurance would go through the roof.
Absolutely.
And we just wondered, I just wondered, the city, if something the city has to consider in the budget for these things, that's all. Great.
Yeah, I certainly think it would improve that from that aspect. I mean, I think if you look at some of our playgrounds, we really need to, prioritize from that standpoint to go to the one back here. I think, we've got some concerns. So I think we have to do, really prioritize those, and, we're doing our ADA analysis currently, so we'll obviously have a list of items that we're gonna need to address, from that standpoint, so. But I think that would help, our rates from that
I'm
standpoint.
just curious, Doc, there's so many people out there that think a little money make them feel better, for nothing. I'm just curious.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of go off of that, not doing anything, not that
Oh, yeah.
in this circumstance, but not doing anything with the playground, eventually, if we don't
Oh, we got
replace
it.
it, we take it down.
No, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I dealt with it, that same question, just so much of what we, just curious.
I think this new modern stuff takes into consideration, especially being ADA compliant, gives you a better sense of safety anyway. And that would probably help replacing the old stuff with the more modern stuff to give us that, I would guess, a better rate, if not keep it the same anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Zany Pool, we just had to remove a piece of the playground because it was starting to break, and if the kids were not using it properly and standing on top of the tunnels, it's caving in, and so obviously that's a hazard right there, so, yeah, I can't speak officially if it would raise one of the rates, my guess would be that it's gonna help us.
Yeah,
That's just a general question. For my education.
it's good to talk about it though.
Yeah.
There's no surprises, for sure. All right, any further discussion? Madam Recorder, if you would please call the roll for resolution number 3.
Vice Chair Walton,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
Yes.
Commissioner White,
Yes.
Mayor Cunningham,
Yes.
5 in favor, 0 against.
All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, we have already taken care of resolutions 4 and 5. Madam Recorder, if you would please read discussion item number 6.
Discussion on moratorium on new apartments.
Would you like to bring that?
Yes. Yeah,
Have a discussion? I'll second it, we'll have a discussion. Okay, it's on the floor.
I got the ball rolling last week. Basically, this is one thing I think we always have on our minds. Also, potential impact it would have on school enrollment, other things within Lakeland. So I've had discussions with other people. I've talked to Forrest, and we've looked at zoning and some things we want to iron out first. One thing in particular was, obviously, I don't want to stifle growth, but also there are certain exceptions that would be agreeable, whether it's age-restricted living or senior living, or make sure that kind of thing does not get impacted. Also, there are other developers who would be interested in doing mixed use that wouldn't be what you call apartments anyway. But the zoning as it currently stands, it looks like, what's the term you use, freestanding? You'd probably elaborate for me.
But just for clarification, I mean, we're only discussing doing a study at this point in time, which if we opt to do the study, then that basically would put not words in anybody's mouth, but it basically would put kind of a standstill on that type of development. So rather than discussing the type of development, pros, cons, or anything of that nature, I think it may be more productive to just decide whether or not we want to do some sort of study, and if so, if we're willing to tie this moratorium to it. I think that's the more productive conversation. That's okay. Sure.
Yeah, basically, we flesh it out so that we're clear about what the moratorium entails. And so I think in our discussions, it would not impact senior living or age restricted, the way we're trying to define that.
Right.
And I think you can craft, if you decide to go the route of moratorium, you can craft that resolution as to how you see fit. I know that's what we did at Germantown. I think it began as on garden-style standalone freestanding apartments, and then sort of got mixed into all mixed use. And we did exclude those multifamily units that had been approved previously, and we also excluded, I think, independent living or assisted living feature street.
Yeah, so I'll look to see what we can do with that moratorium. But first we will flesh it out. If it's something that's not ready, we'd have to put together and maybe present it in October.
You and I talked about that briefly as well, about what exactly it looked like collectively, Shane and Forrest as well, about what exactly does this board want that to look like as far as in the resolution that we may bring forward relative to the moratorium. Just so we can put together something that best exemplifies the will of this board. And we thought perhaps further discussion would be beneficial, so that we weren't bringing forward something that so that we understood where you were going with it. I think we do. I think we can put something together like we discussed for next month. But of course, if there's more discussion, somebody wants to include something else, or maybe it's a misunderstanding as opposed to just standalone apartments, and given what Forrest said, we're obviously open and willing to listen.
I just think one thing to keep in mind, as we talked about from staff's perspective, and if you look at a map of Lakeland, you see a lot of green, a lot of ag zone properties. So I think the opportunity is unique to Lakeland in that we can really control that, because if you're a developer and wanting to rezone an ag zone property, you're going to have to go before NPC and BOC regardless. So we can kind of control that, right, through those two bodies and through plan development. So I think we're unique from that standpoint versus other jurisdictions, and that we have an abundance of our property is currently zoned ag. So there's something to think about.
Yeah, I agree, that gives us leverage and a lot of opportunity for control and design. And actually, I think it's advantageous for developers, because developers prefer PDD in the long run, because you get often a better product and there's flexibility in it. So, yeah, I agree.
I would support some time to look into it further. So if there is a resolution that we put on the agenda for next month, I would appreciate it.
Thank you for looking at this for us. This is a concern, big concern for our city. 700 on the books now, so we need to look at the future. I appreciate you digging into this.
Any further discussion? I'll close the floor on this item and ask Madam Recorder to read discussion item number 7, please.
Discussion on City of Lakeland Neighborhood Watch Program support.
All right, motion and second to bring this discussion item to the floor. The floor is open for discussion. Would you like to start reading the sponsor?
Sure. We all received an email from Mayor Von Creasy really asking about some help with his individual neighborhood watch, and it just brought up the idea of what the city is doing in general to support neighborhood watches. That was literally 2 days ago, and had not had an opportunity to look into this further. However, I did want to gauge the interest of the board to see if this was something worth spending some time on.
Yeah, I would agree. We all got the email, and I believe that, investing in public safety is huge. Neighborhood watch is an impeccable way to kind of self-patrol yourselves, and if we can find a way to financially help support the neighborhoods that actually have a true neighborhood watch program and they're active, then I believe it's in our best interest to serve them by this board and take that into consideration for sure. So.
I participated in some meetings a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, and it's just needed because we, if you got an HOA, you can cover some of those costs, but the folks out there without an HOA, have to come up with the money for the required, neighborhood party, to get the certification. So, yeah, we need to look at that, see what we can do for them.
Yeah, more, if you count the houses, it's more than half the houses are not under HOAs and within the city limits. And I think their safety and security comes in layers. One thing I brought forward is about the cameras, you know. I think neighborhood watch would be another layer that could also work with Shelby County Sheriff. So I think that there are many ways to help reduce crime and also connectivity. I think it's another opportunity for people to actually get together. When I tried to get people together in my neighborhood, it was hit or miss, you know, and HOAs had the same problem. They can't even get a quorum. I mean, for changing things. I mean, most of these things I've sat in, and I feel frustrated for them because you have so many members in that HOA, so many houses in the HOA. But I think it's just another reason to get people together. And I think people, once they do it, they're like, oh, okay, this is rewarding. And you get to meet the new neighbors because there's a lot of turnover, you know. Meet the new neighbors and find ways of helping each other out.
I think it's a great way to collaborate with the sheriff's department, because I know they participate in neighborhood watch as well. So what better way to build that camaraderie and engage with the actual law enforcement? I think that's phenomenal. Always can't knock collaboration, that's for sure, so.
It could just be one part of a collaborative and a cohesive security plan.
Absolutely. All inclusive, for sure. Sure.
May I address Commissioner Gonzalez directly?
Sure.
Do you mind, I have not been part of neighborhood watch during the meetings. Would you like to take up this office?
I'm glad to, former mayor talk to them. But, the sheriff's department came to the meetings, they ran the meetings, and, they were really informative. I couldn't get our neighborhood to do anything about it, but I know his neighborhood did, and, it helps. I really helps.
I appreciate you taking the time on this.
So the primary funding is provided, it would be for the certification and the training and what it takes to actually keep the neighborhood watch certified.
Mainly, it's just the requirement, there's a requirement for a block party. That's the big cost. Signs and that kind of stuff like this, but that's the big, to get the certification. And,
Okay.
I think that's the biggest hurdle.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Any further discussion? I'll close the floor on that. And that completes the regular agenda. I'll open the floor. Anybody have any announcements?
Homecoming tomorrow night. So it's a good opportunity. 6:30. I think it's the first game.
Kickoff at 6:30
Kickoff
tomorrow
6:30.
LBS.
It's a great facility. I think it's a just neat atmosphere to go and watch, support our kids, and you also can buy shirts and food and all kinds of cool stuff. So I think it's just
About to ask Greg about that show.
oh yeah, they have some stuff: shirts, hats, some other things, cups.
But is the popcorn good? That's what I want.
I haven't had it, but they
I'm
sell
gonna
it.
try it, so. Thank you for bringing that. I was gonna mention that, but, I wanted to get a clarification at the time for kickoff, so.
I just wanted to say thank you to staff and for this board for accommodating me tomorrow night as my church's annual widow banquet, and it's important to me, and I appreciate you guys making this accommodation. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, it's not a problem. I think that if any of us had something like that come up, that we would absolutely be willing to adjust as necessary, if that's the right thing to do, so. Fantastic. Any further announcements? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor? Aye? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.